Namaste, everyone. Today's topic is use case diagram. How to draw use case diagram for our subject software engineering, which is used in the design phase of the SDLC life cycle. So we have already introduced this software engineering subject with a lot of previous topics like how to create process models, which process model to select, how to write SRS, and after requirement gathering analysis, and we come to the design phase where we draw UML diagrams. Now, why UML? Okay, there is also a lecture specifically on UML and its introduction. I will share it in the description box. It's a unified modeling language. Okay, so since it is unified, it's a universal, so that it's better, easier to communicate entire the globe, okay, on a common platform. The terms which are used is understood by all across the world. And it is commonly used for creating models. Why we want to create models? For better visual representation. For example, as a programmer, okay, why you draw a flow chart? We draw a flow chart because it's a better representation of our code. So basically, it's a language which is we are using it universally for creating models. So there are various UML diagrams, two types, structure and behavior, that also you can find in detail what diagrams we can draw under structural, what diagrams we can draw under behavioral. And the same topic applies for architectural patterns and design patterns, okay, creational, structural, behavior. So you can connect those architectural patterns and design patterns with UML to create different diagrams. So our today's focus is on how to create use case diagrams. So let's go ahead with that. So basically, a use case diagram is a visually represents the interactions between the users and the system, capturing functional requirements, okay, and providing a platform, okay, to show the dependencies of the user and the system. So this is how it is denoted. These eclipses are called a use case. Okay, and this is a actor. So over here, if you consider this case study, fine. So here there is this customer is the actor, which is an external part of the system, and whatever is represented in this triangle, this rectangle, this is our system of online electrical appliance store. So in the online electrical appliance store, these are the use cases defined for interaction with the customer. So this is just a basic use case diagrams, just to depict what are the use cases and what are the actors, and this is the entire system. So a use case diagram is a graphical representation of the user's possible interaction. And there are different types of users and system, as will often accompanied by other types of diagrams. So we need to collaborate this diagram with other upcoming diagrams like class diagram, sequence diagram, object diagram, activity diagram, ER diagram. Okay, so we will be covering one by one. So why use case? Because a use case, why we create use case diagram? We list out what are the use cases are there, and these use cases are nothing but the event steps. Okay, just highlighting this event steps. Event step means one after the other. Okay, what are the events which define the interactions between the role of the actor and the system to achieve the goal, right? So basically, a use case has three characteristics. It organizes the functional requirements, models the goals, and describes the main flow of the events, which are also called as user scenarios. Okay. So in another top video, we will be discussing how to draw a use case using the AI tool. Because in today we cannot, we should explore the Gen AI, and the automated creations. But of course, we should not ignore that as a human, we need to authenticate, give input properly as a prompt engineer and also to assess the design. So coming to this, we have again the actors represented here as shown. So this is the check-in representative. This is the customer destination. Now this is basically, it is the case study of the airline. Okay. So in the airline service, we have a passenger service as the sub-module, which we are representing here, design use case. So there is a passenger as an actor. This is a baggage transportation as an actor. And these are the various use cases. Say we can have the check-in representative will check in the system. Okay. Then we will have an automated check-in system. Then we have an express check-in system. We have boarding, which will be all accompanied by the passenger. And then we will come to the destination airport. We will have the destination airport will request for the passenger list for the baggage transformation. So they are all interconnected. So actors are nothing but the individuals or the external databases, or maybe, they can be human or some external system as well. If you are using bank for, say, ATM machine, this use case, so bank becomes the external system. A use case describes how actors uses a system to accomplish the particular goal and the relationship between the actors and the use cases. Then system boundary defines the system of interest in relation to the world around it. Now, what I suggest is whenever you draw a use case diagram, you should first visualize what is your website or the mobile app development you are trying to create, or maybe a wearable device. You first imagine how your app is going to scroll from user's point of view, because this use case diagram, as the name suggests, use. So who is going to use? The customer, okay, or the stakeholders, okay. And we are creating a visual case study using the use cases to understand how the user is going to go about functionality wise. So my suggestion would be here as simple, because sometimes, people create use case diagrams, but they become so confused what use cases to involve, whether it should be a use case or an activity or a class or whatever. So the simple mantra by me is that you visualize your website, how it is going to scroll, what all functionalities you are going to give to the user. Okay, so for example, I'm the customer, I'm using the website. What will be the front page? How it go ahead with the buttons? On which page it will go after clicking this button? For example, if we go for the ATM machine, okay, so it should be insert card, can be the first use case. Then the authentication, the username and the password. Then we have different options like withdrawal. If withdrawal, then what next page would come? Okay, if you want to reset the password, what next page would come? So you visualize that. In fact, you draw one of the rough screens, what will come up with all different options actually. And then each page should be a use case according to me. That is a simple mantra. If you use it, all use cases would be included, because later on, what is the next mantra is that include every use case as a class. If suppose you have a class which has inheritance, say child nodes, then you can club maybe, you can more diversify your one class related to one use case to 3 classes as a group, maybe 1 parent and 2 child. Or if they are too much interrelated, you can have 2 use cases as one single class. So it depends, what is your functionality. But basically, if simple, start with one web page or one mobile app page with one use case to one class diagram. I think roughly do that. And then you try to find out whether you can redefine. So in such case, you will not miss any of the scenario and you will get a better picture. Of course, when you start creating a use case diagram, you need to understand the requirements. So you check out the SRS before that, so that there is a document which has all the authenticated, what are the limitations, what will be the input, what process is defined. And accordingly, you can try to decide what would be your use case design. What will be the actors, who will be the stakeholders, all you will be getting this specifically from the SRS. So don't skip this point. If you really have understood the SDLC lifecycle and you genuinely want to create a proper use UML diagrams which you would be diverting to the coder, or if you yourself are developer and you want to do it, if your design is accurate, you have less errors during testing phase, and you don't need to rework on the implementation much as if you do a proper design. So hence its importance comes gradually. So these are the different benefits of use cases. I'll just give you a hold. You can just read it. These are actually what we discussed, but a proper formatted language. If you want, you can click a pic as well. So not making it much theoretical. The next topic is how to draw a use case diagram. So here it is specifying, the create use cases for every goal. So obviously your every page is your goal for the customer, right? If you just think about it deeply, okay? So in that case, the simple mantra is convert one page into one use case for initial. Then you can always, once your initial design is done, you think about it, rework on it. Even after creating the class diagram, you can come back. After designing the ER diagram, which is related to database, you can come back and redesign it. But if you start it in this way, definitely there are very rare chances. I know that you can club two functionalities into one for your flexibility purpose, or maybe what type of design you're planning in the next phase for class diagram. But if you do it in this way, you definitely would add all the functionalities and would not miss it. So if you want to make the approach more agile, okay, do not detail all use case, but prioritize them into your product backlog. Okay? Because see, everything, if you're going to put it on the design, then it becomes more complicated. So the design should be simple. You need to understand it on a primary level. And as suggested here, the details you can put it in your product catalog, as simple as that. Okay. So here, this is a more detailed use case diagram for a broadcasting system. See, we are taking different case studies so that you can understand that as per the case study, what can be the use cases if you imagine. Okay. But as simple as that, if there's a broadcasting system, imagine what are the existing websites or the mobile applications, just go through it and see what they offer. If you have a better approach, which you have mentioned in the SRS, how your problem statement is differing, then please don't miss that point in your design. So you can categorize the use cases as per the actors and the functionality. So here it goes. You can have two case studies given here, use cases given here for broadcast, 3 for the maintenance associated with administrator. Then you have a broadcast related to the premium member. Okay, so if there's a premium member, if you join it in the discussion, then you have to subscribe. And that is, of course, for this discussion also is held for the premium members, because we need to dedicate time and associate a proper channel for them. So here comes the relationships between the use cases. You can't put it all the use cases in the air. You need to show the connection, and it should be stepwise. Which use case should be first, second case? In the case of ATM, okay, first you have to insert the card, then only it will ask for authentication. If you have missed the step one and you start asking the password, and maybe if your system allows it without even inserting the card, that would be a disaster, right? So your steps are very, very important. And first you need to visualize your system, put the design onto the screens, as said earlier, or using website or mobile app or wearable device. And then you try to put it up as use cases. So here what it is saying is that what does this include? There are three, basically the UML defines 3 stereotypes of association between use cases. So we will see what are these stereotypes. First is include. So the time to use the include relationship is after you complete the first cut of discretion of all your main use cases. So you can now look at the use case and identify common sequences. So as I said, first make the basic one. Once you have made the basic one, then you try to, see how, this is the base one and how it can be, bifurcated, right? So if you have a place order and you have a cancel order, in both the cases, actually, you will need to log in. You can't cancel the order without logging in, right? if you cannot even place the order using login in. So in both these use cases, what's the common thing? Login. So this in initial first type of drawing, you may not get it. But when you eventually, when you after you frame it and you start now, identifying the stereotypes between them, if you get such a thing with that there is something in common, login is common between the two place to use cases, then you add this includes. This is a dashed lines and it indicates this arrow and you can put it in include. Okay. So that means that this login is included in both the use cases. Actually, you should read it in this way, where the arrow is denoted, this use case is included in both of them. Or you can say that these two include login details. Without that, they will not get processed. So however, you can frame it. The understanding is important. And since it's a universal language, immediately seeing the design. See, today you are designing it. Somebody else is going to implement it. Or maybe today you implement it, but you may get confused after 1 year if you see your own design. So immediately these visual representations click you. If your project is handed over to somebody else, maybe you leave the job or you take another's project. So you can also see the designs and immediately connect the code, because reading the 1,000 lines of code or maybe greater is not very easy to understand and edit. So probably these notations can give you a very quick analysis of your what goes to your implementation probably. So coming to the next stereotype, that is extend. Okay, so here there is one base class and there is one extend class. So here what you can do is this book damage can be extended to what is the action taken when there is a book damaged. The book damage action taken can be that you return the book. Okay, so you can imply such type of relationships if there are there in your designs. Okay, so you can use with the help of extend. Next, third stereotype, as we said, there are three. So the third is the abstract and the general use case. So here, as we do the inheritance in our object-oriented or maybe in ER diagram, we have generalization and aggregation here. So if you have a use case called verify visitor identity, and if you have two types of verification, either you can verify by fingerprint or verify the visitor by ID card. So if you have this type of specific different types of verification in your application, you can use this generalization. Okay, so this will be an abstract, right? And this will be the specific modalities which we'll be using to achieve this abstract. It is not necessary that in every case study you will have this, but these facilities are shown to you so that you can use it as per your requirement. So the explanation is there. Of course, this website, I found it very useful for this topic, apart from the other ones. Of course, others are also very good in their own manner. But this website was covering everything with many case studies. So I will share you the link in the description box, so you can go through this again. And if you do not understand the concept, you can re-hear the recording as well. So here this is the system for the ordering of the food. Okay. So you can see water is one of the external resource, patron, the chef, okay, then the cashier. So these are the external actors. The associations are here. So for if the chef is there, okay, so if you order the food, the chef has to be intimated to make it. So the moment the food is ordered, okay, it will go give here and the food is cooked, right? Once the food is cooked, then here, when you order the food, water is served automatically. Okay. If you have wine, it depends whether it is an extension, correct? And then here, if you have a patron, then you have to, the food is served. Okay. Of course, the wine and drink are extensively. And then you have to, finally, the cashier has to create the bill, right? So pay for the food. And if the wine, why it is an extent? Because wine is not necessarily for everybody. It was an optional. Hence, this use of extents come into picture. So this is one, again, case study given here. If you consider the business case study, okay. So a business use case, what is actually, it is described in technology-free terminology which treats the business process as a black box and describes the business process that is used by business actors, while the ordinary use case is normally described by system functionality level. So basically, business use case is that you are not going to disclose what technology you are going to use. It's like a patented, right? You are not going to disclose. So that's why it is called as black box. If you have learned SVM, machine learning technique, so SVM is also considered as black box because what vector machine calculation is used, that is not disclosed to the outside world. Whereas if you disclose the functionality, then it is called as system functionality level. Correct. So as easy as that, if you are not disclosing it, you term that use case as a technology free. So here, if you are not showing the use case, that means that it is patented and you're just using it. You're not disclosing the details, right? So here you can, how to mention it? Here you can mention it this way, that this, we are not going to provide the details. And these are the, what you can say, the business type of case study. So here, see, there is an example. Just these are different examples to showcase how generalization is used. So, a passenger is a general, which is going to be an, there will be a security screening for the passenger, for the luggage check-in, okay, for the individual check-in. Now, this passenger is generalized to the tour guide. So, tour guide is a specific, but tour guide will also be why it is coming here, because this will go here, and even the tour guide is also a passenger types whose everything will be done. Okay, it's not that the tour guide would be exempted from that. Yeah, so if the screening is done of the passenger, the driver also gets screened. That's the meaning of a year. So that is why it is generalized. This is what the symbol is showing, that this is, a part of this which was shown earlier. And then all these things will happen to this also and this also. But why it is not showing this, he would have shown like this. But why to make it complicated and make it generalized? It clearly shows that whatever security is for this is for this also. And now here there is a group check-in because this will have an ID where which group is this tour guide responsible for. Yeah. So this example is showing you that this security screening is a third party tool. They are not disclosing it how they are going to do the screening. That's why it is mentioned here as business case. And then we have an extends here. What does that mean? That this is included. Okay. Luggage in individual check. What is included? Now, previously it was finger or maybe ID card. So your luggage check comes automatically for the individual check. And it also included in the group check. Correct. So that here the clear difference between extend and includes is given. Right. In one line, I would like to just tell you the difference which it will be clear is that include means it is compulsory. Okay, it is compulsory. If it is a group check-in, it includes individual check-in means there will be of every group member, every individual will be checked. So that is compulsory. So include means compulsory, whereas extend means that it not may be compulsory. It's an extension. So if a person doesn't have a luggage, so that person, individual will not have a luggage check-in, correct? If just the person has a handbag. So I hope this difference is clear between include and extend. This is case study is compulsory, okay? This is compulsory for this particular case study, whereas this is not compulsory for this particular case study. Okay, that's why it is extend. Extend means we extend this facility. That doesn't mean that it's going to be always there. It can be used, it cannot be used. Fine. So these are other examples. ATM, which is very popularly shown when UML diagrams or specially use cases there. So a customer is there, it will check balance, it will deposit funds, it will withdraw cash, transfer funds, maintenance, and repair. But see, this bank ATM use case diagram doesn't include insert card. I think there should be one case. Of course, there should be much more, but this is a general use case diagram. If there is a insert card and verification, this use case is very important. You can't skip that step. Okay, so first screen, it will come user and password. So verification is login registration. So there should be credit card verification and approaching to the login and registration. So this use case should be there. So the customer first should insert card, right? If the card is unauthenticated, there should be an error page. And if it is authenticated, it should go to the login page. So these two use cases should be added here. We can't skip this. But of course, this is just a snapshot of the functionality, which is shown here. So the document management system, which is popularly known as DMS in terms of use case diagram. Okay, so it shows the actors and the use cases in particular. That includes the that actually includes the include and the extend relationship, okay, among the use cases. So here, if you have a site user for the document system, right? So if there is a document, if you are creating a use case diagram for this DMS, so you have a site user, these will be the use cases, and you are using include. And of course, there, if you can't download the docs, what is the use of searching the docs? So this has to be compulsory there. That's why include is there, right? Now, this use case also diverts to preview doc. So once you can download, before that, you can do a preview doc. That was also compulsory. You should have a preview, right? Then you can have browse docs. So browse docs can be previewed again, right? So you have view all events. Then for the webmaster, you will have upload docs. Manage folders is not compulsory, but you can use this functionality. Clicking on that, you have post new event to the home page, you have add user. So add company is not compulsory. If you want, you can add it. That's why the use of extend. And finally, the last use case for this session, the order system. So you have customer and the customer service assistant when you try to do the order system billing. So for the customer, you will be able to view your billing statements. You will be able to place your order. You'll be able to cancel the order. Then for the logistic department manager, you will have print logistic, arrange delivery. For relationship manager, you have generate statistic report. And for service customer assistant, you have create customer order. Now see, for this order system, first you have to visualize how exactly an order system works. Okay, so if you have an SRS, which you have prepared, that would be much better because there are a lot of functionalities you can add in this order system only. And this is a raw table. So I would suggest take this as a case study, as a homework, complete the include and extend and the other stereotypes if you want, generalization abstract. And you can take this as a homework and complete this. Try to first visualize how does the order system works. And if you're placing the order for what, this is for a particular repository. So you have to, you can, if you're using it for the logistic and the regional, so you have to imagine those types of screens, okay, when you want to finalize this. So basically, in UML, use case diagram is very, very important. This is the first diagram which I generally plan in my UML list. Reason because after your SRS report, when you design the use case, you actually understand what are going to be the inputs, how is going to be the interaction, right? And as I said, all the screens associate the use cases. Then for the functionality part, for the business logic, you can convert one use case to one class or group of associated use cases to one class, or maybe one use case to group of classes, which can be, generalized or maybe inherited, or you can approach all the object-oriented methods in that. Okay, so finally, you can give the use case diagram to your UI UX engineers to start with the designing part of the UI, and you can proceed to sharing this use case diagram to the developer team, okay, or maybe to create the class diagrams, or the designers to create the business logic diagrams, for example, the class diagram, object sequence, and so on. So I hope this session on use case diagram was useful to you. If you have any doubts, you can, then the number is there in the description box. You can ask me also there on WhatsApp, or maybe on the email ID which is shared, or in the comment section. So thank you very much for your patience listening. We end this session for today on general case studies and notations used for use case diagram. I, Shabdalia, signing off from this session. Thank you once again.